have you. Excited for y'all to be here tonight. Just checking a little sound check, make sure everything's crazy. I streamed for like 10 minutes yesterday, completely muted, which is embarrassing, but I'm not afraid to admit it. It is what it is. So glad y'all can make it tonight. We're gonna get right back into support weapons. We really have to close that out quickly and move on. We have gone through a lot of talents. When we last checked, I think we had 220. So what we're going to do is just do a quick talent check count. We're just going to open an Excel doc, and I'm going to count. I just want to know, where we started out, where we're at. It's been, this is roughly around episode 27, and we were just working on these as we kind of went. So let's take a look. All right, we will start with, we'll just go to the summary page, is all it really is. It's just a giant copy of the summary page and then pasting it in. So we're going to go to the talent summary, which is right here. All right, now that we have that talent summary, we're going to grab all the general talents. We're just going to grab them like this until that page is done. Copy, paste them in the spreadsheet over here. All right, there's a couple problems with pasting it like that, but we'll get close. All right, we're going to grab the next page. All right, good to go. Grab that next page. All right, paste that in. All right, we're getting close to the end here. So when we started out, we had 180, over 180 with all the talents that we have. All right, so just what we're looking at for this, just for ranged talents, we now have 161. That's going to be a lot of awesomeness. All right, so we get to melee talents. All right, melee has, page and a half. And we're looking to, really, or this is where we're going next, melee talents. All right, now some of these are double lined on. I know you can't see the Excel. I'm just looking over at the side here. We're at 205 with that page. This basically, why am I looking at this? I want you guys to kind of have an idea of how many different things you could put on your character as you gain power levels and you level up. You're really going to be have a giant list to pull from, and that list is just hit 260 before we got to quickness, and there is no non-combat, right? There's no non-combat talents. Those all apply to skills, and putting their own talents in there will feel a little bit problematic. All right, so we're looking. I think we've just popped, or we're gonna definitely go over 300. We're at 305 now, but not every row is perfect. Some of them have second ones that drop down. Let's see. I'm looking for them. All right, so yeah, so 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we're probably pushing 280 at least. So by the end of this, we're talking over 300, which really, that's really going to change the metrics about what, GunCraze and how many different character creation options you have. That's crazy if you think about it. If you don't know yet, if you're just joining us for the first time and you're in the chat kind of lurking, just go ahead and shoot a message in. Let me know, hey, you're here. I'd love to say hi to you. That being said, I want to talk about talents, where they kind of came from and what they're going to do. Okay, so talents hark from D&D 3.0, 3.5, Pathfinder, feats. All right, so feats were a part of those games, and they were wonderful, right? You could pick all these cool feats for your characters. Unfortunately, like to be like a really strong character, you always had like 4 that you picked that were like always really good. And you're like, anytime you played I'm gonna play a greatsword character, I'm gonna pick these same 4 feats again. Okay. Here's the thing. If those 4 feats had a cost to them of feat points, if you will, and they said, those 2 major feats that everybody takes, we're just gonna push those up because they're so good. We're gonna make them 5 feat points. And now the whole game kind of changes because cheaper talents, feats from D&D, like I said, they kind of spurn talents for GunCraze. Like the concept is good because D&D kind of left that giant feats list in the trash, unless you're still out there playing, Pathfinder 1 or D&D 3.5. A beautiful system, probably far superior to anything they have now. I will argue that. I will argue that for days. All right. However, the one thing that is a problem is that you kind of got railroaded into the same characters because the feats that you'd pick would always be the same. I have to take this feat because if I don't, I'm not combat viable. At least, that's what you read. What an unfortunate thought to have. Well, you could, in GunCraze, you could take 1 5-point talent or you could take 5 1-point talents. Now you have 5 separate abilities to do, and some of them are utility, but still really good. And as you level up, you can go back and get those other ones. You don't feel left out. You can come back and get them. You can go forward. You can do what you need to do. All right, but you can get a lot of variability between your characters. All right, I mean, I'm boasting. I don't have the experience. Yes, sir. What's up, Big Chris 239? Representing Southwest Florida. All right, so that being said, you're going to have a ridiculous amount of options for character creation. All right, so let's go ahead and get back to. Well, I mean, let's take a look at just overview at some of the things we've done since we started working. So we have. We'll go to our talents list. All right, so we have our ranged combat general talents. These are talents that pretty much anybody could take. The only requirement is having certain levels of ranged combat specialization, okay? Some of them have, prerequisites, which are actually on this list. So everything stays right here tight and close, all right? Once you get to handgun talents, all right, you start to see these things called cross use. All right, handguns are ubiquitous. Like people should always have some kind of handgun because you cannot always take your big gun into the battle. But some people are going to focus and specialize on handguns, and they're going to be amazing. All right. That being said, so let's say akimbo aim, right? So if you have handguns rank 4 and Twin Fury, which is a talent that comes from the general tree, you can perform a single aim shot simultaneously with 2 handguns. That's a great ability. All right. So you need laser sights, something like that, or iron sights to pull it off. And it says cross use. So you can replace handguns with one-handed ranged weapons. All right. That's fantastic. All right. Allowing you to combine two shots into one aim shot gives you a lot of benefits. All right. So handguns are going to have a lot of these cross-use abilities because they share, but they still have a couple things that are for them only. Exploit armor is one of them. Whenever you are adjacent to a target, ranged call shots with handguns may choose to ignore any benefit to armor if that armor does not have the enclosed special rule. So this is where you're literally shooting into people's around. If you've not seen John Wick, he demonstrates how you can get by the armor just by putting your hand really close to the body and shooting through it. Okay. Last stand. All right. Handguns rank 5. You can attack with a handgun while you're in a down condition with a -4 penalty. At least gives you a shot. And that is literally, Last Stand comes from old Modern Warfare 2, right? So if you took the Last Stand death streak, if you got shot down, you had a chance to shoot somebody with your pistol. If you actually killed somebody with it, you'd get back up just from sheer motivation. Okay, so that is not the whole. Doesn't happen here. Not a bad idea though. You could probably talk your gunmaster into doing it. All right, then we get into SMG talent. So SMGs are all about just unloading rounds all over the place. Like, you have a lot of ammo, which could be a little hard to do in the Days of Reckoning campaign, to be fair. So you're definitely the guy that's definitely sweeping up after the enemies. Like, hey, how many rounds did I get? I need as many rounds as I can. I need to load clips. I have 5 clips. Okay, that's, sometimes that's 5 rounds of attacking. But yeah, everything got shot. But you only attack for 5 rounds, and now you're completely bone dry of SMG ammo, right? You're on semi-automatic, taking single pot shots. All right. That being said, so that's your ranged combat SMG talents. All right, they're all about dumping rounds. One of the things that they have for them is extended burst and insane burst. All right, this is where you use the double the rounds for the burst attack, and you add a damage dice to the damage roll. Right, so you're even doing more damage than usual. And insane burst, you use 3 times the round, and you add 2 damage dice. So now you're talking about a heavy SMG doing 4d6 damage. 4d6 damage. All right, with a potential of rolling a d3 and getting 12d6 damage on somebody. All right, that is a ridiculous amount of rounds that you've just hit them with. So, again, SMG is all about emptying rounds and spending rounds. Rifles are all about just really attacking a single target and doing a lot of damage. All right, because rifles do not ever confuse handguns with rifles. All right, rifles just are better a lot of ways. They hit harder. All right, they always hit harder. They have plenty of videos that demonstrate this. There's no comparison. All right, so now you can get a handgun that shoots like a rifle. All right, which is great. And you could also take a rifle and convert it down to pistol size, and then you have that as well. All right. So these are all about, now they still have lots of cross-use features, but one thing that they do have by themselves is rapid fire, right? Rapid fire, again, allows you to combine attacks, and you are just taking well-aimed shots down range is really what that comes down to. Okay, so moving down, we get into the wizard of, thermal damage. You like that? You saw that? Yeah, so thermal damage, let's talk about that. So lasers and tracer rounds do thermal damage. Okay, so light them up. Rifles that cause thermal damage deal 1 flame counter in addition to the damage, right? So now you're literally lighting people on fire, which is totally possible with laser weaponry and with incendiary rounds. All right, tracer rounds are incendiary rounds. They're an interchangeable term, but we use incendiary in the GunCraze rulebook, but anybody know them as tracer rounds. They basically have like a magnesium tip in it that lights up in fire, and it hits hard and hot, and has been known to cause forest fires or brush fires in California and other places where they do Marine Corps training and stuff like that. So thermal damage is a thing because laser weaponry is a thing in the year 2050. All right. No, and people are like, well, that's probably not going to happen. Look, go back 25 years from the day. We're talking about the year 2000. We're talking about AOL. We're talking about like a completely different time. All right. VHS tapes you could still buy at the store. Cassette tapes you could still buy at the store in the year 2000. They were rare, but you could find them. DVDs were like all the rage, and Laserdisc was out there for, I think it probably died down before 2000, but it was close. All right. So that was like internet was 56K. Some people had cable. Some people had, oh gosh, what is that called? So you had cable. You had the one that also took a phone line. It was memory. Not there. Let's talk about web TV. Big Chris 239. Web TV was absolute gold when it came out. My roommate had web TV, and I borrowed it all the time. I was chatting up everybody. That was my thing, was chat rooms. And that was back in the day. Now you take that technology, you look at what we have today. We put that in the ground. Like my phone from like 10 years ago is more powerful than, anything from the year 2000 combined, like all these different things. The phones of today in 2025, holy crap, they're way beyond. All right. Now just take that technology and then just imagine it 25 more years into the future. That's when the GunCraze storyline takes place. All right. We're talking about AI on crack. All right. We're talking about AGI, artificial general intelligence. We're talking about artificial super intelligence, right? So that it's huge. All right. So we're talking about things. Laser weapons going to happen. Power and energy is going to happen. That safer energy, and a lot of it clean energy, right? Clean energy using instead of where they blow atoms apart like in fission, right? And they create, bad things with depleted uranium and all this other crap. Now they're putting atoms together, and they're causing that's your fusion, your fusion reactors. All right, so not a lot of radioactivity waste from that. Just a lot of energy gets displaced, which heats the steam, which turns the turbines and gives you power. All right. So that being said, so anyway, kind of back into this rifle talents. Now we're talking again about the wizard of the group, the shotgun user. This guy is going to have so many rounds available to him or her. All right, that they're going to be able to be so versatile. What do I need for the situation? I'm going to quick load a shotgun round, and I'm going to fire an EMP round and go after that robot with it. Or I'm going to load a flashbang round and stop these guys, give them a status effect. Quick load is going to be your thing as a shotgun user. It's going to be in the quickness tree, so you're going to need some quickness. Again, all kind of is going to play. Every time a note comes to my head, I have to throw it down on a piece of paper. All right. And something came to my head, but I'll let that pass. All right, then we got sniper rifle talents. So what are sniper rifles? Sniper rifles are all about literally obliterating a target very accurately, and it may take more than one round to save up to do so. All right, it may take up more than one round, but you're going to have the highest hit rolls, way out potential. So let's just math it in my head real quick. So you roll a d10, and you add let's say you have maxed out your higher power level, very elite character. You have all 10 ranks in ranged combat. So now your d10 plus 10, you're at 20. All right. You also have a high ranking, a high quality scope. You have and you have all of your tracking tokens. All right, you could literally be rolling a 40 to hit. All right, a 40, and the other guy gets a D10. All right, so, and not only that, so that those tracking tokens, you're not going to use them all to hit. So maybe not a 40, but or at least a 30, right? And now you get play with those tracking tokens. You can burn them as you need to make the target a hit. All right, that is what the sniper does. It's like very specialized. If you'll look at their talents. All right, so shotgun has a couple of talents that share and a whole bunch that don't, all right, because they have very specialized ammo. But sniper rifles, almost nothing in their list shares. There's nothing that is cross-use, all right, because they're super specialized. Everything costs a lot of talent points. If you go down the sniper tree, you're going to get snouted. All right, let's see. Would improvised sniper have to originate from rifle? Okay, good question. All right, so let's stop by improvised sniper rifle. All right, so prerequisites, sniper rifles 1 and rifles 1 only. So you do need to have a point of rifle, and then you do need to have a point of sniper rifles, just one rank. All right, and this allows you to tune that rifle. Basically, you that guy that a rifle owner, he's like, here, take this. Hopefully it does well for you. And you're like, well, I got it. Let me take a second. Lay it down. Screwdriver. Tighten this. Tighten this. Check the sight. Line it up. Okay. Make sure everything's tight and real good. And now it is effectively has the hybrid sniper rifle special rule, which means that if you're taking aim shots, you're going to do an extra d6 of damage. All right. Because this weapon is just more fine tuned than other weapons. But again, you need to be doing aim shots with it. All right. So, great question, Big Chris. Appreciate it. All right. So, moving through, we have our support weapon. This is what we're currently in right now. We're working on support weapons. What are support weapons? Support weapons are your big guns, your big and special guns, flamethrowers. All right. You have your LRED, which is your long-range acoustic device. And the concept here is these are support weapons. If this is the road you want to travel down, you won't be in it very long because you can kind of max out in a support weapon relatively quickly. I mean, it's still going to cost you a lot of talent points to do so. But the thing is these are in and out. They're support weapons, so it's a support type of system. So you could go main support and go all the way up, being like, hey, I'm using all these. I'm going to go flamethrower full. But then you're going to want that backup weapon and whatnot, because these weapons, you're not taking them inside of buildings, like unless it's the situation. I mean, you're assaulting the building, and then you're definitely taking them at this point. So the concept again is you're going to take like grenade launcher. You try to walk into a building with grenade launcher, they're going to see you. All right, that's just the way it is. All right, so what the intent here is, as we're building these support weapon talents, is that they have a lot of cool abilities every time you level up. Like they gain an ability, they become better, not just a standard ability, but maybe they unlock a feature. So for example, the grenade launcher novice, right now it says, it's probably not going to stay, blast attacks from grenade launchers gain the indirect fire special rule. So what does that mean? That means you don't actually have to see your enemy because you lob it over things. You lob the grenade into the sky and it comes down on your opponent. All right, so that is, you can't do that as an untrained grenade launcher. All right, now the grenade launcher, you might have an underslung grenade launcher to your rifle. You can take that turn to shoot that underslung grenade launcher instead and use these talents to do so. All right, so even as a rifle user, if you want to have those kind of grenade launcher attachment, you'll be able to really, stand out in a fight. So, that's the thing is, that's what we're going down right now. It's kind of like, all right, let's see what we're going to gain by these levels. And it's novice, specialist, veteran in every case. And once you get to veteran, you're essentially done, right? You can get Fear of God. You get Rolling Thunder, which do other things. They're not part of the novice specialist veteran tree. And Interlocking Fields of Fire is another one. Interlocking Fields of Fire is going to probably buff your the thought process behind this. So in actual combat, Interlocking Fields of Fire causes the enemy to have a bad day as they're running across the field, right? Because you've taken two fields of fire and you've folded them together. All right, so now these fields of fire are just causing chaos. All right, and because the weapons are coming from two different directions, it decreases the power of armor. All right, of cover. Cover becomes less useful. So, and that's where I think I'm going to go with this. Is cover is going to become less useful for any support weapons that are firing when another weapon is using automatic fire in the same automatic fire, suppressive fire in the same area. So really kind of a cool ability to buff other SMG users. So the SMG user goes out there, he sees you're in your field of fire, he overlays it with you, and now anybody goes through that, they're going to have a harsh penalty. It's going to be a bad day because they're going to lose their cover. They're going to lose a portion of their cover just from going out there. All right, this makes life very dangerous for your opponents. All right, Hey, other than Big Chris 239, if you're in here lurking and watching, drop a message in and say hey. Drop a follow. We'd love to have you join the stream. All right. So, moving on. LRADs, long range acoustic devices. These are all about microwaving a person, right? That's really what they do. They essentially cause a lot of pain by pointing at them and shooting that round. All right. So, what would a novice do? That's something that I got to come up with. That's why we're here right now, is to do this creation and kind of think it out. I'm just, as I'm talking about it, some things just come to me, like the interlocking fields of fire. I'm going to go ahead and make that note right now. Let's see. When using suppressive fire alongside an ally, opponents or targets lose one increment of cover. I mean, that's the loose version. We're just going to put it, that's why it's red, because I can go in and change it as we go. The requirements for interlocking fields of fire, and I could actually buff this, right? We could go 3 stages on this, no problems, because that allows for some growth. If somebody likes this ability, we can have that. We can have this grow. All right. So what we do is we're going to grab one of these. I grab this one here. Actually, this one here. We'll see. Paste here. All right. And now we're going to grab that. And it looks like we'll have enough room. Barely. I love it when it stays on the same line. But sometimes it doesn't, but it's all right. There we go. Interlocking fields of fire 2 and 3. We can kind of step this up now this is obviously going to be for machine guns, right? This is kind of like their special ability. Because grenades and other types of weapons, not really. All right, this is going to be for machine guns. So what we're going to need to have in this case is machine gun novice for this ability. You're going to need machine gun specialist for this ability, and machine gun veteran for this ability. And you're going to need for this one as well, we're going to drop in, let's see, we'll put this one first. I usually put that one last. We'll do last. All right, interlocking fields of fire, and the other one, I put it in the wrong spot. That's all right. We'll get it fixed one day. And then this one gets part 2. We could do alt. Weird comma, okay. Comma here. All right, and we can put an enter here. All right, that says, hey, there's your prerequisites for that, okay? And then the concept is, 2 increments of cover. And maybe 3. Well, and we'll look into cover, right? And how this is going to work, because every now and then when we're working on rules, we have to go kind of look at the source data. Sounds like, yeah, you guys can hear it, huh? Yeah, a little bit of sound of freedom right there. All right. So, let's say people texting me. All right. So yeah, the concept of, that's the sound of freedom flying over. So when you live in a military aircraft town, and you've been here for a while, that sound doesn't bother you. Until you have babies, it bothers you, and you're like, man. But then as your babies get over and get used to it, then it doesn't bother you anymore. Paul the Eagles. right? Yeah, so let's take a minute and talk about this meme that's out there about this Canadian duck fighting an American bald eagle. Look, I ain't got nothing against Canada. Nothing against Canada. These are not the same birds. A bald eagle will take a goat or a deer and shove it off a mountain and then eat it. A duck will nip at you and be like really loud and annoying. We are not the same. We're going to move on from that, okay? So let's talk about LRAD, okay? So the LRAD, what we can do with an LRAD is increase the stamina damage that it does, all right? We can add advantage dice to the stamina damage. Yeah. All right, so attacks with LRADs. So what does LRAD do? Let's take a look at it. We're going to go and look at the weapons section real quick, and we are going to go back to cover. I get sidetracked left and right like that. It's on you guys, you watchers, to keep me in line. If you're not watching, then I'm just out of line. That's just the way life is. So we're going to go to our support weapons. All right. So we got that LMG. All right. LMG. We got the medium machine gun, that heavy machine gun, laser light machine gun, medium laser machine gun, heavy laser machine gun. You got your, underneath that, your micro gun. All right. That's your 5.56 version of a minigun. And then you have your actual minigun. Then you have your laser repeater. All right. Then you have your compact grenade launcher, which also has a special rule. Let's see. Well, this is what you take into the building and still use your support weapon skill, right? You take that item in. Grenade launcher single shot. Grenade launcher semi-automatic. Grenade launcher automatic. Mark 19, let's go. All right. Missile launcher, aka rocket launcher, aka RPG, all kind of groups up. Anti-air missile launcher, your flamethrower, and then your long-range acoustic device. An LRAD, or a long-range acoustic device, is a non-lethal sonic weapon designed to project highly focused sound waves over long distances. Originally developed for crowd control, security, and maritime defense, the LRAD can emit intensely loud tones or voice messages capable of cutting through ambient noise. Its sound waves, focused in a narrow beam, can warn, disorient, or deter individuals without physical contact, often leaving them temporarily unable to approach the source, right? So it hurts you, is what it does. And the concept here is this thing does 2d6 sonic damage, okay? So sonic damage is a type of damage that affects your stamina. It goes right into your stamina. Robots do not care about this weaponry, all right? But people care a lot about this weapon because it's a bad day if you're in line of it, all right? So what are the rules for it? Blast 2, all right, so it actually does an area of effect, ignores armor, illegal, so a lot of weapons are listed as illegal. Those are weapons that at the start of the Days of Reckoning campaign, you're probably not going to have unless you picked a job that would allow you to have one of these. You're going to have to find one of these things, all right? Illegal single shot, so it takes one shot a turn. Stamina damage. All the damage it does is dealt to stamina. And stun 3. All right, so this round also does stun 3. What is stun 3? Stun is basically stuns you for 3 rounds, so you get a hit. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of the rules. What I'm going to do is open up another window, and I do that when I'm going to search around. And let's not forget, today is brought to you by caffeine. And we're going to take a quick break here in a second. real quick, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you some things, and then we'll move back into this. All right. So we're going to go with. All right, we're back. We're going to go right to guncraze.net. We're going to check it out, see what's going on. All right, so guncraze.net, what do we have here? We have a lot of information pertaining to GunCraze that will help you get around. We have a Patreon, Facebook, Instagram, X, Cults 3D. We got some stuff listed in there. YouTube channel. We got Discord, right? Discord invite should work for you. We got another link over to Papsicles, and then here's the link to the Kick stream. I wonder if this... Sometimes I don't fix these. Let's see. Yeah, I failed that one. I fixed this Kick stream. I need to fix that one too. All right. Note. Fix Kick icon. How about that? I changed the. I changed it from kick.com/ATRgaming to kick.com/GunCraze_TTRPG to make it a little more easy to figure out or find. All right. So moving on. Lots of information here. All right. The next place I'm going to bring you to, make sure this is all right. Next place I'm going to bring you to is Facebook page, because we're going to link out of here, and we're going to go to the where are you at? Of course. Yeah, there it is. It was there. Got the RPG community, all right? RPG community is a great place. Go hang out, learn all about RPGs. It's got 1.2 thousand members. Great place to stop by at. All right, definitely something you want to check out. Furthermore, let's talk about this. So, I did get to meet a person called Sherry Talbot. She's the Eclectic Goat on YouTube, and later on this month, we'll get you that date. We're gonna have I'm gonna be part of an interview, so it's gonna be like a 2-hour stream, and I'll be one of the guests on there and gonna talk about GunCraze. I'm super excited about it, so definitely mark your date for that. I'm super excited. Hopefully all that works out just fine. I'm digging around, so yeah, you're gonna get RPG community, all kinds of RPGs to check out. All right, very exciting. Also, hey, you can't get to it from a page, but RPG Market Buy and Sell Games is a great place to actually trade your RPGs at, all right, and buy and sell. All right, since I'm at a page, I can't really see it, but if you go there, you'll definitely be able to see it and check that out. All right. Additionally, one last one is Action Tactics Roleplay Printify, all right? So here's your merch, all right? So if you're interested in any shirts, hoodies, mugs, all right? We have battle mats on here, all right? We have that you can use to play any of your role-playing games that are like Cyberpunk or anything like that. Cheap cost, very, these are 1-inch grids, so you could tell the 31.5 by 15.5 I wanted to say polyurethane, but that's not right. So mouse pad material, okay? It's an entire mat. It rolls up really tight. Throw a rubber band about it. It'll keep it long life. It'll have a long life. All right. So lots of things in here to check out in the merch. All right. And now with that, we're gonna go ahead and bounce back to where we were, looking at some support weapons. Okay. So apparently I went back with both. That's great. So I guess one of the concepts that I want to do with this, get back up here, go back to those talents. All right, that's the text. I don't want to see the text. I want to get to the... So I always work out my talents in the summary. That's basically the place I go to build talents out. And there we go. All right. So gain 1 advantage dice. All right, so what is an advantage dice in GunCraze? An advantage dice increases your damage. Okay, let me rephrase. It adds an extra d6 to your damage roll, but you drop the lowest. All right, so it basically brings up your damage. All right, because there's nothing like having like, I have my really awesome, heirloom heavy handgun that does 2d6 damage, and rolling, you hit a guy and you do 2 damage. That's horrible. Could it still happen with 3 or more dice? Yes, you absolutely, because you're going to take off the bottom if you roll poorly enough. That being said, so attacks with LRADs gain 1 advantage dice, and increase stun duration by 1. All right, and we're going to get into stun here because we need to make sure that it flows right with that. But I'm thinking for these, what we're going to get is more of this, okay? And we can make it gross, right? Because we can do that. As long as the points, again, you're going to feel the talent points, the sting. And yeah, so I'm okay with this. Hopefully you're okay with that. So I think increasing that possible damage by being the veteran, you know how to use it better than other players. And so you're going to have a more maximum effect with that thing. But let's go ahead and take a moment to spin down. We're going to do another new window, view new window, and we're going to go look at stun and kind of see what we're talking about here when we get a weapon that has the stun rule on it. All right, scrolling down. Actually, let's go to weapon rules. All right, so got talents, skills, which I'm excited about. Can't wait to get to that. It's next. That's next month. We got to finish up March 31st. We have to be done with talents, all right? Then we're moving into skills. All right, so stun. Stun X. Attack profiles with the Stun X special rule cause a character to be disoriented, their senses jarred in some way that causes them great detriment. Characters are hit by an attack with the Stun X special rule receive the stun condition for a number of turns equal to X. All right, that means we have to go to stun conditions. All right, so let's see what this link goes. Oh, that's a bad link. Let's break that link. Hyperlink. We don't want any links that take us to Google. This is a Word doc. I was running this out of Google for a while. We definitely don't want to link over to Google. So now we're going to head down to conditions in the rules. All right, so we're going to go down to stun. Let's take a look at stun. All right, we have this thing that happens. That's okay. We can fix that. Okay. When a character becomes stunned, they experience disorientation and are unable to act effectively. They cannot take any actions during their turn except for moving their slow movement. Defense rolls made by characters suffer an additional 4 penalty, and they are not allowed to choose die for cover as a response to an attack. Okay, that's painful. What is die for cover? So if you've watched like any action movie, like ever, sometimes the action hero or heroine is taken off guard, and this has probably happened to you in a role-playing game. Okay, how do you combat this? All right, I walk around a corner. Oh, my turn's over. The DM says stop. In front of you are 10 people with crossbows aiming at you, and you're like, I'm out of movement. I can't do anything. That's like horrible. First of all, yeah, you could always blame the player, like, well, you should have looked around the corner, or you should have stopped and listened, or know what you're getting to. You know what? GunCraze, we have a fix for this anyway when it happens. It's called dive for cover. All right? You're allowed to move 10 feet and make your character prone. All right? That at least gives you a potential of not getting shot to death. You might just get shot a bunch. Okay? Now, if you could find cover and get behind it, you could literally cut off the enemy's attack. So they declare all their attack, and you dive for cover. So you can't dive for cover when you're already prone, so you get it one time by the time your next turn comes up. Hopefully you chose correctly and dove into the right area. Okay? You could dive for cover off a building if you want. Now you're falling. But you may have a parachute now. So, hey, there's lots of things you could do. All right, when you're stunned, to overcome stun condition and regain normal functionality, a character must pass a toughness test at the beginning of each of their turns. The toughness test has a target number of 6. If the character fails the toughness test, they remain stunned until their next turn, continuing to suffer the associated penalties. All right, so you can try to focus through being stunned still, but the target number 6, which puts it in my head right now, that's an easy target number to pass. We're going to change it. See, this is the fun part about creation. The ideas flow into your brain. All right, so I increased the stun duration by 1, but that's really not that great. All right, so what we're going to do is one advantage dice and increase the target number to focus by 2. That's nasty. Let's take this. So we're going to change that to 4 and that to 6. So if you take this ability at low level, your target number has now become 8. But if you take support weapons 3 and you have the LRAD novice, already, now your target number is 10 to ignore the stun. And then it goes up to 12. That is a lot. Like a target number 12 focus. So again, let's take a look at that. What that is, what it's asking for. We have it on the other page here. A toughness test. So basically you got to be tough to get past the stun. All right. Character must pass a toughness test at the beginning of each of their turns. The toughness test has a target number of 6. If the character fails this toughness test, they remain stunned until their next turn, continuing to suffer the associated penalties. All right. So yeah, that's pretty nasty. You are stunned. You are in a bad shape. So we have another one called staggered, which is similar. All right. Characters who sustain injuries may gain the staggered condition. A staggered character may move no faster than their slow speed. That's it. You just get slowed down. You could still dive for cover, and you're just staggered. Staggering gets cured via healing. All right, and I probably should add that in here. We'll get to the. I don't want to get too far into this chapter, but yeah. So we have lots of different conditions in GunCraze. By the way, bleeding, blinded, deafened, disoriented, downed, drowned, dying, encumbered, frightened, knocked out, nauseous, off balance, on fire, out of action, poisoned, revived. Revived is a condition. Shaken, sickened, staggered, stunned, suffocated, and surprised. Okay, so there's a lot going on. We could be excited about different things to happen to your character. All right. So GunCraze, let me talk about it for a little bit. We do have 10 minutes before the first half is up. A lot of times I don't continue after this because I haven't built up that type of stamina to talk for over an hour yet. I will get there. All right. But when interaction comes and I get more viewers on the stream and people ask me questions, I could keep going. But I run my mouse basically straight for an hour. It takes some endurance. All right. But until then, so let's talk about some of the highlights of GunCraze. What kind of game is it for a new player? These are, I was listening to the Eclectic Goat streams, her interviews. Great questions she asked. Made me do a lot of internal thinking. How would I answer the same questions that she would ask? Because I'm going to be on her show, which I'm excited about. But, I do want to think, these are good questions. So one of the questions that she had mentioned is how is your game for a brand new player? So the best part is everybody, so let's say a brand new role player, a child. I've taught my kids to play.
but they had D&D experience. Okay, at a so what makes GunCraze different? The combat, really. Right, the concept of rolling a skill dice and the gunmaster, the GM, giving you a target number and you succeeding against it. All right, that's just what it is. That's simple, really. It could always be that could always be easy and basic, in a good way. But when you talk about combat, that can be difficult. Well, that's why GunCraze miniature battles exist. And if you don't know what that is, I'll talk about it. I need to do a stream where I just play a game on the table here. GunCraze Miniature Battle is a tabletop board game style version of GunCraze that uses all the combat rules from GunCraze. And when I say all, it has a couple extra rules in it to make it a skirmish game that's actually winnable. You generally in a role playing game book, the rules for winning the role playing game don't exist, because it is a continuous, usually campaign, and you win campaigns or you win one shots or sessions or whatnot. You win things, but it doesn't really spell that out so much in the rule book. But a tabletop skirmish game needs certain rules to finish the skirmish game. All right. So the rules are essentially the same. So you could sit down a group of people, and that have never played a role playing game before, and I have. And one of my favorite stories about GunCraze actually comes from this. So, two people that have never played a role playing game are sitting at my table in Greenville, North Carolina, at the Unplugged card show. And I bought a table, went up there, kind of show off GunCraze. So I'm sitting down. First guy comes up and he's interested, and right at the same time, so this white guy, cowboy hat, collared shirt, the classic, country look, comes up, and right next to him are two young African American ladies that, they dress more urban style, right? Definitely not country. And so they both decide to try. So I have these two people from different walks, different ages, probably about 3 years or 4 years of difference. And as we're going through GunCraze miniature battles, they take out one of my guys. It's legit. I'm trying to kill them. They win, and just from that success, they turned to each other and gave each other a high five. And I just took a moment and I was like, these are people that otherwise would never talk to each other, probably have different political leanings, probably, don't share much in common. And they high fiving each other over a game of GunCraze miniature battles. That's a beautiful thing. So that really kind of carries with me as one of my favorite memories. I do have a lot of memories. I have my amazing friends that have helped me out along the way. People that have just been so invested with the GunCraze concept that they've gone out of their way to do great things. One shout out is to Nick. Nick is incredible. He's been there the whole time, and his son Cade. This kid is, he's young, very young, under 10, but super bright and super funny. Just a fantastic person to play with. So he was able to learn the game, the concept, for the most part. And his dad was super brilliant, and he built character sheets that we still use and hand out. Additionally, we have Drew. Drew is amazing. He is probably one of the biggest supporters that I have. He's a great friend of mine. He actually, programmed a really famous video game back in the late 90s, which I'm going to let him talk about if I ever get him on stream one day. But it was very exciting to have him in the fold, because he created, if you go to guncraze.net, you'll see that we have a character generator on there and some rules to use it. It's a little out of date. It doesn't have all these talents that I'm building. It doesn't have all the new gun rules yet, because I wanted to get this rulebook finished before I backfill that. But yeah, he did a lot of hard work building it out. These are just people that touch GunCraze. They see the capabilities of it. They see that it is a game of it's a good game. And it is. It has some basic concepts. It's an opposed roll style game where normally you're rolling off against somebody, but if you're not, the gunmaster just gives you a target number to roll off against. That means players whose turn it is not are getting to roll dice. I mean, come on, that's great. It helps out people with like ADD, like me. I'm like always, hey, am I going to get shot at? I need to have my dice ready for when it's my turn. All right, and that's like one of the concepts of one of the other games that inspires GunCraze, and that's Warhammer 40,000. Just not necessarily the lore or anything like that, but more of the concept of it's simple, uses d6s. It you get to roll. Your opponent rolls and then you roll. All right, he shot at me. Now I'm going to roll a defensive roll. And there's lots of cool abilities in there, weapons rules and stuff like that. So there is definitely a touch of Warhammer in GunCraze, because Warhammer's a fantastic game. I'm a huge Warhammer 40,000 plastic addict. I'll show you sometime. But additionally, another source of inspiration comes from BattleTech. All right, that's where the hit locations kind of come from. It's not as rigorous as BattleTech's hit location system for their mechs, but it does have a hit location system for targets, right? So very kind of, I love the idea of hit locations. Where is that round going to hit? And then there's abilities to adjust those hit locations so that you can get on target with your shots, all right? So very excited about a lot of those things. The character creation, it's a classless system, all right? Classless system. You can build your character how you want, and you could just change midway through the game and go off in another direction and be okay. You will survive, all right? The things that a classless system provide is definitely a fight against altitis, right? It's what it's called, altitis. All right, altitis is the person who sits down and makes other characters over and over again to try to see different mechanics if they can stack them to get a rush out of it. Well, in this case, GunCraze, the goal is to try to keep you out of that. So if you start out as a sniper and whatnot, and you gain a couple points, well, you could shift those points and put them into support weapons and get a machine gun. Now you can do both things. You can always default to your sniper rifle when you need to, but in the meantime, you're using the LMG now and mowing down guys, or being a well-rounded soldier with all kinds of different abilities. You got your, you have a guy with a sledgehammer, and then he's like, you know what, I've had a pretty good time with the sledgehammer. I've got it essentially maxed out, crushing all the way up. I'm gonna work on slashing. I'm gonna change over to a sword and try it out. All right, so those things are all possible in GunCraze, where you can kind of just shift gears and keep the same character. Because if you've played enough role-playing games, you've seen people delete their characters. I say, oh, that's so stupid. I'm sorry. They just destroy their own characters. Like, oh, I'm going to jump in front of that. I'm going to jump off this cliff. My character doesn't like himself. Okay, did you build another character again? Yeah, I have him. He's right here. It's super exciting. All right. The character's backstory, you want to always be good, of course, but the story that they make after the game starts should be the most exciting part. All right, and if they got to shift a little bit, the gunmaster can let them shift a little bit. Hey, I want to, I'm going to shift this up a little bit. Can I take a couple points out of rifles and put them into, put them into this instead? Like, maybe not, depending on the gunmaster. Be like, okay, so why do you want to do that? Well, I don't know, rifles, I haven't got to use a rifle. We've been indoors the whole time. There are no rifles around, and I want to shift up. Yeah, by certain, you should shift. But tell him as well, be like, hey, we're not going to be in this area forever, and that you might want to have that ability for rifles when you get out of here. Rifles have longer ranges, and if the enemy's outranging your players with longer range weapons, well, that can be problematic. All right, so I hope it goes well for you. Let's see. So we just hit an hour. I'm going to go ahead and shut down the stream. Getting a little tired. I hope you guys are having a great night. Again, I'm going to work up my endurance. Again, when more people come in and share and chat, I will be more excited to stay because that kind of interaction helps me stay awake. But this late at night stream is it's a little bit of a butt kicker for me, just to be fair. But I really appreciate you guys being here. Again, if you just joined the feed and you're just kind of like lurking and you haven't dropped a follow yet, please do drop that follow. Really help out the stream. So yeah, I hope you guys have a pleasant night. I'm gonna roll out of here with one video and take care. Hello, this is Tim Patterson, and we're here today to talk about GunCraze. So what is GunCraze? GunCraze is an action tabletop role-playing system that brings players into intense action combat, pushing the boundaries of realism. And what do I mean by pushing the boundaries of realism? Well, anybody that enjoys a good 80s, 90s action movie understands when realism gets pushed a little bit. You know, that character throws a knife through the enemy and pins him through a wall. Could it happen? Maybe. And that's the type of realism we're talking about pushing. GunCraze is a system that uses D10s. Successes in GunCraze are determined by the roll of a 10-sided dice, and they're compared normally to a target number or to an opposed roll, usually from an opponent. GunCraze uses a 2-second round, where characters can either perform a movement and an action, or perform a combination action. GunCraze uses a classless system that offers a large amount of variation of character development. There are literally millions of character customization combinations. Characters are customized by specializations, attributes, perks, talents, skills, and then their weapons and equipment. And we're going to get into all these in different
talents.
videos.
Try 300,
in future
baby.
videos, we're going to discuss that character creation. We're going to talk about talents. We're going to talk about skills. We're going to talk about the different types of weapons. We're going to talk about craze points. GunCraze is currently in an alpha testing, meaning it's still in development. You can support GunCraze directly by subscribing to our Patreon. For $3 a month, you'll get access to every document that is produced in PDF format. As soon as it's released, you get it. But thank you for your time, and help us fund GunCraze.